What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook. It's Thursday, late in the day. The Packers have practiced. We've talked to Mike McCarthy. We've heard from the guys in the locker room. And now it's time to talk to you fine folks. See what's on your mind. See what you're thinking heading into this game against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. A formidable foe, one which the Packers have to get by to maintain their hope for a postseason run. Obviously, coming back this game, Aaron Rodgers, it's being thrown right into the fire on the road against a playoff caliber team. It's a tall order. There's no doubt about that. Hello, everyone. How we doing? Jason, how are you? Sean, does Rodgers start Sunday? Yes, he will. Brennan, hello. Net neutrality, exactly. How is Rodgers looking? Gus, all reports, he's looking good. I don't really think it's about how he looks in practice when he's wearing a red jersey. It's really about how he's going to look the first time he gets hit. And obviously, we won't know that until Sunday at the earliest. Until that, it's all speculation. Patrick asks, what's the best way to attack the Panthers' defense? I think it's their best bet is to spread it out and go that short rhythm passing game that we saw against the Philadelphia Eagles last year. That kind of was their springboard to them running the table last season. I do think they will run the ball. I think they will try to run the ball. I also think the Panthers will be very effective in stopping the run. They have an excellent front. Their front seven is elite. And I think the Packers' best bet is to spread things out and let Aaron go to work in the short passing game. Aaron only needs to score 50 to win. No big deal. I don't know if he needs to score 50, but they need to be efficient. There's no doubt about that. And for all the problems on the defensive side of the ball, obviously the injuries in the secondary being the most glaring, I think the biggest thing the Packers need to do on the defensive side of the ball is to be opportunistic. I mean, you look at the last game in 2015 when they went down there, they get an interception late in the game that actually puts them in position to win it when Rodgers freezes when he has Randall Cobb wide open in the end zone. I mean, Rodgers has got to do his part too. So we'll see how it plays out on Sunday. I think McCaffrey will be the biggest problem, especially on screens. You have nailed it right there. There is zero doubt in my mind that Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator for the Panthers, will undoubtedly be using McCaffrey in the screen game, much the way we've seen every running back the Packers have faced for the last 2 months absolutely kill them on third downs in the screen game. You can bet Shula will be dialing that up, so to speak. Zone or man, asks Samuel. Well, it's going to be a combination of both. It always is. I tend to think they got to play more man. The problem is they are really hurting at corner, and without Devon House, who most likely will not go, you're looking at a combination of Demarius Randall, Josh Hawkins, and then maybe a Lindsey Pipkins or a Jermaine Whitehead, who's a safety. It gets threadbare real quick. Perry should help, though, with McCaffrey, right? Matthew, he will definitely help in the run game as far as the traditional run game goes. In the screen game, that's a whole nother ball game. How's the weather for Sunday? It looks like it's supposed to be clear and in the, I think, the 50s, something like that. It doesn't look like it'll be too bad. What's your favorite Packer to talk to or interview? Alex, that's a good question. Current? Probably David Bakhtiari. He's a good guy, really easy to talk to, and he's good with the media. He doesn't suffer fools, which I like. Panthers defense stout against the run. Offense is going to have to give the defense a break. I completely agree. The only good capers are the ones I put in my salad. Well played, James. The Packers are hurting at corner. I'm shocked. Nice, Alex. Think we will blitz more? That's a great question. I know Tom Silverstein had a great piece about it a couple days ago at PackersNews.com. If you haven't read it, make sure you check it out. Saying just exactly that, because it's clear that he's going to have to take a few more chances to get to the quarterback. It's become abundantly clear that he cannot get home with just rushing 4. They just don't have the horses. Now, the issue is Cam Newton, if you miss on a blitz, he is going to make you pay, not necessarily by reading and dumping it off, or hitting a hot route, although that does happen. But with his legs, he has absolutely destroyed teams when they've missed on blitzes or when blitzes have been picked up. So it will be a cat and mouse game, but I do think Capers has to send a little bit more pressure than he has been the last couple of weeks. Although he started sending it in Cleveland, and the Browns just did a great job of picking it up. So just because you're sending pressure doesn't automatically mean you're going to get home. Matt, why do people always blame Capers? Well, because the results often speak for themselves when year in and year out your defense is repeatedly problematic in the same areas. There's only so many times you can point to personnel. Now, I do agree with the idea that he has been shortchanged this year as far as, hasn't been given much of a pass rush. But, every roster along the NFL has its deficiencies. And it is rare when you see a team or a defense get burned repeatedly by the same thing over and over and over, week after week after week, with no adjustments being made, the way the Packers have been, especially in the perimeter screen game. That is a coaching thing. That is a scheme thing, and that falls to Dom Capers. Last year they were beat repeatedly on third and longs. They seem to get that shored up this year, and now third and intermediate is a problem, and the screen game has been killing them. That's coaching. Have you seen Star Wars yet? No, I'm going tonight. I'm going actually to get in line right after I'm finished with you fine folks. Your 13-year-old daughter says hi. Hello. Chances we resign Jari Evans. Andrew, that's a really good question because he's been an excellent signing. He's played very well, underrated signing as far as I'm concerned. I would tend to think they probably go with someone like McCray at guard next year, who's proven he can play at this level. But you never know. Maybe they value his veteran leadership. Maybe they come to some kind of agreement that makes sense monetarily. But I tend to think he's a 1-year rental, and they've got young guys they're going to want to play. Does Carolina give Gunter this week? Dustin, if you mean they play Gunter, no, I'm pretty sure they won't. Ron Rivera said, they like what they've seen from Gunter, but they haven't played him yet this year. I think they have him strictly as a developmental guy. Why not using Montgomery to run, Thomas? Because he's on injured reserve. He had surgery on his wrist 2 weeks ago. Prediction, last team to score wins. Good chance. Be honest, does McCarthy like you? I have no idea if McCarthy likes me. I do know that he's sick of me droning on and on about scheme questions. But it doesn't mean I'm going to stop. We got good cornerbacks, but no pressure. It doesn't matter if we got no pressure. I agree. I've been saying that since the summer. You can have all the cover guys in the world, but if they have to cover for 5-6 seconds, it's not going to mean a whole lot. Lexi asks, can we win? Yes. Yes, you can. Will there be more blitz packages in Carolina? A popular question. Daniel, I just talked about it a little bit before. I do think there will be a few more pressure calls, but the problem with selling out big time against Cam Newton is if you miss, he is going to make you pay big time. Do you think next year they're going to make a move to Montgomery to wide receiver or trade? No, I don't think they're going to trade him. They will use him as a kind of X factor. I don't think it matters whether they call him a wide receiver or a running back. They're going to use him as an offensive weapon. Any hope for our safeties, asks Troy. Ha Clinton-Dix had a big play. Had a few nice plays against Cleveland. He's definitely got to step up a little bit. Morgan Burnett has been rusty since coming back from injury. But there's talented guys. There's definitely hope there. Besides cheering for the Packers, do we need to cheer for the Rams and Bucks as well? Yes, you do, big time. First play of the game, go along to Nelson, TD. Dusty, I'm sure they will try. Just noticed your beard grew back very quickly. Yeah, it grows. Does Dom Capers have a blitz variable where you can send 12 guys? I don't think that's the wisest idea. Rodgers needs to take a hit to get settled in. Do you agree? Kind of. I think that's kind of like Favre used to be back in the day. He always would be kind of amped up and sailing things, and then all of a sudden he would take a hit, and then he'd kind of get into his groove. You never really know how a guy's going to respond coming back from an injury, especially a big one that knocked Rodgers out like it did. I do tend to think, he'll kind of be a bundle of nerves until he gets that first kind of hit out of the way. Is Geronimo still around? James, yes, he is. He had a couple of nice plays in Cleveland, including a really nice block and a really nice catch, and a block with his back instead of in the back on the big punt return that Trevor Davis had. How productive do you think Rodgers will be? Chris, I think he will hit the ground running. I don't think he's going to throw for 400 yards or anything. This is too good a defense to do that kind of thing, but I do think they will be slinging it, and I think it will look much like it looked early on in the season. Josh Jones, underused. Yes and no. I think he's better the closer to the line of scrimmage he gets. I think they haven't been able to do a whole lot of that because of the injuries in the secondary. He's had to play a lot more traditional safety. He's swimming a little bit, but you've seen him coming on a little bit. The defensive struggles boil down to pass rush. Not even Bliss's get home. I tend to agree. Do you think Aaron will go to Jamal? Yeah, a little bit. I think he will spread it around like he always does. Sleeper of the week? Good question. I would say Richard Rodgers is your sleeper of the week. Quick short passes? Paul, I agree. Honestly, who do you think is going to win? Mark, check PackersNews.com in the morning for our weekly predictions video. That's a plug. Will we use hurry-up offense in Carolina? Daniel, I would definitely think they would at some point. I don't think they come out in it. I don't think that's what they do primarily throughout the game, but I do think they will use it as kind of a, arrow in their quiver, so to speak. Who is the most important Packer to resign for next year? That's a good question. I think most people would probably say Devontae Adams. I'll say Corey Linsley, because I don't know what they would do at center if he left. Call it now. Do we make the playoffs? Justin, I have no idea. O-line needs to make sure Rodgers is not touched. Nate, I would agree. Tell McCarthy to use more screens on offense. Gus, I will do so. Does Rodgers' skill open up for Jamal? I think it works both ways. I think Jamal's presence will open up things for Rodgers and vice versa. McCarthy was asked about that this morning, and he did say what's nice about Williams is because of his ability in pass protection, he is able to stay on the field all 3 downs, which enables them to jump into no huddle if they want to. So, as long as Williams is out there, I think the playbook is wide open, and it should open up things for the entire offense. Maybe a Hail Mary for the win? Andrew, it's possible. Great offense can make your defense better. Sean and I tend to agree, especially if they can hold the ball, be methodical, be efficient, score, and keep that defense off the field. And then when the defense is fresh, maybe they can create some opportunities and be opportunistic and get the ball back for the offense. I think that is kind of their game plan all around. Randall picks Newton again this game. John, it's a very good possibility. He had a big interception the last time these two met in a big spot. Game plan, ball control. Sean, I agree. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to, line up in I formation and smash the football. I think they can be ball control with a spread offense. And in fact, I think that's what they will do. That's a lot of what they did last year when they ran the table, so to speak. So I do think we'll see a lot of that again. Disney bought Fox, Avatar, Star Wars crossover. No one wants to see that, Chase. Is his arm strength at 100%? Craig, that's a really good question. Sure looks like it in practice. But we'll see starting on Sunday. My heart can't take another OT game, Ben. I think you'll be okay this week, but you never know. We'll see. Do we win if we force Cam to throw 30-plus times? Not necessarily, but I think that leans in the Packers' favor, yes. Got some talent on D. Scheme needs an overhaul. Yes and no, Jeff. I think it is a bit antiquated, and I do think opposing coordinators have got the book on Capers pretty good at this point. How much Bitcoin do you have? None at this point, Justin. Don't like Demaryius on Funchess. He's too big. I agree, but who else are you going to put on him? And look, Josh Gordon is a monster, and Randall locked him down last week, so yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Newton injury update. Shoulder. Daniel, that is an injury that he's been dealing with since the offseason, since he had shoulder surgery. They've basically listed him as a procedural matter throughout the year, but it hasn't affected his throwing throughout the season, so I wouldn't expect it to suddenly pop up on Sunday. A lot of Jordy in the slot to create mismatches. John, I think so. If the Panthers show a lot of zone early, Jordy has shown he does his best work in the slot when against a lot of different zones, cover 3, cover 4, cover 2. That is when he's really been effective with Rodgers. His ability to read those defenses like Rodgers does and then sit down in the kind of the hole in the zone. It's just uncanny, and it's a thing that none of the other guys really have kind of in lockstep with Rodgers. Nelson and Rodgers do a great job of reading defenses after the snap of the ball in a way that no one else on the squad does. So, I think if they show a lot of zone early, or even throughout any time throughout the game, that's when you'll see Nelson in the slot. And kind of, Rodgers definitely has clearly that connection with him in a way that Hundley did not. How can they keep both Jordy and Devontae? Juan, you got to think both Jordy Nelson and or Randall Cobb will get some kind of, either with Randall Cobb, I think it'll be an extension that brings his salary cap number down. With Jordy, maybe there's they ask him to take a pay cut, or maybe they give him a 1-year extension to try and kind of, decrease the cap space, the cap hit, so to speak. But something will have to be done there. There's no way they're going into next season paying $40 million for 3 receivers. That's just not going to happen. Do you see us leaning on the run more, Andrew? I don't actually. I actually think they'll spread it out a little bit more with Rodgers and let him go to work picking things apart. I do think they will run the ball, obviously, but I do think, just knowing McCarthy and knowing Rodgers, I think they will lean towards the pass. Will Rodgers get extra padding for the game? Robbie, that's a good question. I was asked that yesterday. I don't know. He won't say. We'll have to take a look on Sunday. They rarely divulge that kind of stuff, but maybe we'll see what happens on Sunday afternoon. You should be defensive coordinator. You know more than Capers. That is definitely not the truth. Do they re-sign House? Chad, I doubt it, but you never know. Have a great Christmas. Thanks, Kyle. That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Over under on passes Rodgers sales before. I think he'll be a little geeked up early. He is normally, and I think this will just make it worse, the fact that he's been gone for so long. But like we've been saying, I think he'll take a hit and he'll settle in. Chances the Vikes lose to the Bucks? Not great, Benjamin. Is Joe Thomas still on our team? Yes, he is. In fact, he got blocked right out of his screenplay, both against Tampa Bay and against Cleveland. Although he did do a good job of holding up on a block that would have been a penalty on Trevor Davis's big return. Tight end Clark playing? If you mean the wide receiver Clark, no. For the Packers, no. Time for Ted to step down. He has not supplied good depth around Rodgers. I'm not so sure I agree with you there, Peter. It's a pretty talented team. Shouldn't go pass heavy straight up. Let him settle in. James, I agree, but this is McCarthy and Rodgers we're talking about. Predictions? Brian, check PackersNews.com in the morning. We'll have our video up. All right, everyone. I'm sorry if I didn't get your question. They do fly by very fast, but please make sure you're checking PackersNews.com. We've got all the latest from practice, from McCarthy, from Rodgers, from all the guys. We'll have a prediction video up in the morning. My podcast is up right now. The latest podcast from Michael and Tom will be up in the morning. Check out all our videos. Everything you need to know about the Green Bay Packers is there. I'm going to go get in line for The Last Jedi. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.